Guys, what's going on? It's Ben here. I am back again today with another video. The subject of today's video is going to be on LeBron James's record in the NBA Finals. It's basically a pretty controversial subject. A lot of people use it as a detraction from his legacy, and a lot of people use it as something to prop up his legacy. So the point of today's video is I am going to try and dispel some of the negative things that people have said about his finals record, because although 3-6 doesn't look very good on paper, I think that it's actually more impressive than most people would realize, and so today I'm going to get into that. So there's basically three main reasons that I'm going to talk about. The first of which is that um, the first thing is that a lot of people say, like, because he's lost more than he's won in the finals, it makes him look bad. And I'm basically going to dispel that rumor in that I don't think it makes much sense when people say that, because if you think about it, what's more impressive, getting to the NBA Finals and losing, or getting to the second round of the playoffs and losing? I think most people can logically agree it's more impressive to get to the finals and lose than to get to the second round and lose. It's more of an accomplishment. I don't think it's fair to say that if your team loses in the first round, you're just as good as a team that lost in the NBA Finals. That's just simply not true, because the way it works is that the winners move on, and then the best keep playing the best, keep playing the best until you get to the one final best team. But there's a big difference between this being the second best team in the league and being the 14th best team in the league who lost in the first round. So I think that's my first gripe with the argument against LeBron's finals record, is that I don't get, like, would people think better of him if he had only gotten there 3 times and would have been 3-0 in the finals? I think I would honestly think quite a bit less of him if he wouldn't have made it to the finals in all those other years and would have only been there 3 times and won it 3 times. In the same way, I think if Jordan had gotten to the finals, let's say 10 times and only won 6, it might take away from him a little bit in that he wouldn't have the perfect finals record, but then people would just say the argument that, well, Jordan was able to get to the finals 10 times, and that's amazing to even just get there 10 times. So I think that the whole, like, oh, he's lost in the finals so many times, I think that's a pretty weak argument, in that in itself it is an accomplishment even to get to the finals. I mean, you get a trophy for winning your conference when you win the Eastern or Western Conference finals, so I think it is an accomplishment to even get to the finals. And I think people who say otherwise are basically just trying to detract from the accomplishment in a cheap effort to make a Jordan versus LeBron debate, most likely. So um, I don't think that it's really I see how people can hold him in a bad light because of it, but I don't think, just inherently looking at it, if you were an unbiased fan, I think you wouldn't necessarily say, like, oh, that's so bad. I think you would say, wow, he got to the finals a lot of times. Okay, so moving on to my second point, I think, is his statistical achievements in the finals. So now I'm going to go through each time he's been to the finals and kind of run through what his stats were in each of those seasons. So the first year he made it was 2007 versus the Spurs, and that year in the finals he averaged 22 points a game, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, and 1 steal a game. And he shot it really poorly from the field. He actually shot 36% from the field and 20% from 3. And this year is pretty indefensible, but the only defense I can come up with for him is that he really had no help, and he was like dog tired by the time he got to the finals. His second best player, Larry Hughes, basically missed all the finals and didn't really play much. Larry Hughes played 2 games and averaged 1 point per game in the finals. And then his arguably his second or third best player, Ilgauskas, uh, in all 4 games, he averaged 8 points a game, shooting 35% from the field, so he didn't do anything for him. His second best player in this series was Drew Gooden, averaging 13 points a game on 50% shooting. So I think you can see LeBron was basically alone, and I think the toll of just carrying this team solely on his back the whole time really took its toll. So he didn't play very well in the 2007 finals. Okay, going forward now to 2011, the next time he made the finals, arguably the finals in which pretty easily the finals in which LeBron played the worst. So his averages honestly aren't that bad, but just based on who he is, we all kind of know that's a disappointment. So he shot 48% from the field, 32% from 3. He averaged 18 points a game, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals a game. So yeah, those numbers definitely are not up to LeBron James's standards, but uh, honestly, overall, they're not terrible. But it was sort of one of those things where he had some good games where he was scoring like 28-ish, but then he had some other games where he'd be scoring like 6 or something like that. Or I think he had a game where he finished with 8 points. Um, so he basically had a meltdown in this finals. But honestly, overall, if you were a person 20 years from now and you just looked at the numbers, you would say like, oh, he didn't play that bad. But that's kind of something that can be deceptive about statistics, is if you just look at them, they don't tell the whole story. But LeBron definitely was not himself and really underperformed in this finals in 2011, which he lost. So now going on to 2012, the first finals that LeBron won, he played very well. He averaged 29 points a game, 10 rebounds, 7 assists, and 2 steals a game. He shot 47% from the field, so that's pretty good. Not too good from three, only 19%, but still overall some really good numbers. Looking at 2013, when he won his second title against the Spurs, he averaged 25 points a game, 11 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals, 1 block. He shot 45% from the field and 35% from three, so decent shooting numbers. And again, just turned in a pretty solid performance. Not overwhelmingly amazing, but just really really good. And probably like if you wanted like a standard LeBron in the finals performance, I feel like this would be it. Okay, going on to 2014, playing the Spurs in back-to-back seasons. LeBron actually shot it really, really well in this series. He shot 57% from the field and 52% from three. And then let's see here. He averaged 28 points a game, 8 rebounds a game, 4 assists a game, 2 steals a game. So pretty solid numbers there. But then just didn't really get much help from his teammates. Bosh and Wade combined to average 29 points a game, which isn't great for the other two members of your big three. And Wade only shot 44% from the field, which is okay, but you'd expect a little bit more from him. So he just didn't really have much help in this series whatsoever. Okay, so moving on to 2015, LeBron had an amazing finals. He actually didn't have great shooting numbers, but that was just because of the sheer number of shots he was taking. Let's see here. So in 6 games, he took about 200 shots. So that's let's see here. What's the average on that would be about. So in this 2015 finals, LeBron was actually averaging about 33 shots a game. So that kind of explains why his shooting percentage is low this year at only 40%. But he played 46 minutes a night because of Kyrie going down and having no Kevin Love, and basically his next best man being Timofey Mozgov. But let's see here. His stats for the series: 36 points a game, 13 rebounds, 9 assists, and 1 steal a game. 36, 13, and 9, basically. That is overwhelmingly impressive and almost unprecedented at this point. A lot of people were saying, me included, when I watched this finals. This is one of the rare instances where a guy on the losing team definitely deserved to win Finals MVP, and that most people were saying LeBron definitely deserved it over somebody like Iguodala, who, despite playing some good defense and putting in some key shots, like if you go back and watch the series, Iguodala wasn't even being guarded a lot of the times on defense. Like they had Mozgov just sitting in the paint, and he was the guy who was supposed to be guarding Iguodala, who was just sitting on the 3-point line unguarded. So that's kind of an undeserved Finals MVP in my opinion. It actually probably should have gone to Steph, but I think LeBron could have made a strong case, even though he was on the losing team, for winning the Finals MVP. Okay, let's see here. Next, we have the 2016 Finals, in which LeBron won his 3rd title to date. He shot 49% from the field during that series, 37% from three, so pretty good shooting numbers. He averaged 30 points a game, 11 rebounds, and 9 assists, with 3 steals and 2 blocks a game. He led both teams in every category in the finals, which is very impressive. And he won Finals MVP and captured that 3rd title. He played 42 minutes a game as well, which is pretty crazy. Going into the 2017 Finals, LeBron played really well again as well. He shot 56% from the field, 39% from three, playing 42 minutes a night. He averaged 34 points a game, 12 rebounds, 10 assists, 1 steal, and 1 block a game. So this year they lost to the Warriors in 5 games, but again, as you can see, 34, 12, 10, 1, and 1. That's pretty good. Can't really argue with it. And then his last finals, most recently 2018, in 45 minutes a night, he shot 53% from the field, 33 from three-point land. He averaged 34 points a game, 9 rebounds, 10 assists, 1 steal, and 1 block a game. So again, he just played phenomenally. And again, he was actually taking about 23 shots a night, which is still quite a bit. Not as much as that other series where he shot um, 30, 33 shots a night, but still. LeBron has just always had to carry a load for his teams in the finals, and as you can see from these numbers, but besides 2007 and 2011, he's never performed poorly in the finals, I would argue. Now, those two series were bad and not up to his standards, but in 2007, I write it off to him being the only player of substance on his team, really, the only quality like NBA starter, all-star caliber player. He didn't really have any sidekicks, so I think he's justified in playing poorly in that series with having all the defensive pressure on him. And then in 2011, yes, he played poorly, but the Mavericks actually played excellent defense if you go back and look. So I'm not going to defend them because he actually had JJ Barea guarding him, so that's pretty indefensible. But besides that 2011 finals, 1 time out of the 9, he's actually played pretty damn phenomenal. So that being said, that's my second point in this argument is that when people say that LeBron has been done poorly in the finals, if you look at him individually, he's played uh, phenomenally, and there's really nothing you can say to counter that besides saying 2011, which I feel like is a cheap argument because yes, 2011 is one piece of evidence, but 2012 through 18 is a whole bunch of other evidence that basically outweighs that one season. It's 7 years versus 2 years if you include 2007. So 7 obviously beats 2 as far as a sample size. Okay, so the final point I want to talk about here to wrap up a bit is um, I think something that people don't think about very often in regards to who wins an NBA Finals, but it's actually who's favored. So who's expected to win going into the series. Now, if you go back and look, you can look at odds makers in Vegas who are usually pretty accurate and they use different probability measurements to figure out who is going to be favored in the series. And so actually something that I'll just go through each season, but in 2007, the Cavaliers were not favored. They were expected to lose, and they did. 2011, the Heat were expected to win, and they lost. So LeBron did disappoint in that season. 2012, the Heat were expected to lose to the Thunder, and they beat them. So they overcame expectations. In 2013, the Heat were expected to beat the Spurs, and they did. So they met expectations. And then in 2014, the Heat were expected to lose, and they did, so they met expectations. 2015, the Cavaliers, were expected to lose to the Warriors, and they did, meeting expectations. 2016, the Cavs were expected to lose to the Warriors, and as everyone knows, they came back in a 3-1 deficit and won. 2017 they were expected to lose and they did, and then 2018 the Cavaliers were again expected to lose and they did. So in every year that LeBron has been in the finals except for 2011, he's either met or exceeded the expectations for him. He actually won 2 titles in years when he was supposed to lose in 2012 and 2016. So from that perspective, I feel like you can't really hold it against him because every time he's made it to the finals, he's actually been the underdog. So it's actually expected that he would lose a ton in the finals. So that can explain a lot of his 6 losses. Actually, all of them besides the one to the Mavericks. So in conclusion, I think the Mavericks finals is more of an anomaly rather than how we should judge LeBron by. And if you look at the evidence from who is expected to win, statistical dominance, and then the flawed arguments that people make as to why he has lost so many times in the finals, you'll see that LeBron really isn't bad in the finals. He just has a weird wrap regarding him. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you have a good day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.